You need to see this. This could be one of the most important videos you're going to watch about fibromyalgia. Yesterday, the largest genetic study ever done on fibromyalgia was published. Millions of people involved, and in this video, I'm going to break it all down for you so you don't have to go and read through the whole research paper yourself. This is really important because part of living well with fibro is knowing what's actually true about your body and the condition, not what you've been told to believe or what you've heard. Now, let's get into the detail. The first thing this study proves is that fibromyalgia is a real illness, so you can finally stop doubting yourself. So many of us have been dismissed, told our pain isn't real, told it's stress, told it's in our head, told it's a mental health issue, and nothing more. Even one of the lead researchers confirmed this. Dr. Michael Weinberg, one of the lead researchers, said in an article from Technology Networks that this work changes how we think about fibromyalgia at a fundamental level. For decades, patients have been dismissed or told their pain is simply psychological. Our findings confirm the condition has a clear biological basis. And this isn't a small study. This is the biggest one ever done on fibromyalgia. Over 2.5 million people, researchers working together across 6 different countries, and they found 26 genetic markers that show up in people with fibromyalgia. And I'll talk more about those in a moment, but first the study confirmed what kind of illness fibromyalgia actually is. So let's go through that next. One of the problems we've had is that for years medical professionals have argued about what fibromyalgia actually is. Is it your immune system attacking you? Is it a sleep issue? Is it a mental health issue? Is it depression, anxiety? Nobody could agree. Here's what the researchers in this study did find out. They looked at those 26 genes linked to fibromyalgia and they compared them against 20 million cells taken from lots of different types of tissue from the body. Things like nerve tissue, muscle tissue, skin, and so on. What they found is that the fibromyalgia genes were switched on far more in nervous system cells than in any other kind of cell in the body. This is proof that fibromyalgia is a nervous system condition. It's not our immune system attacking us. It's not just a mental health issue. It's not us being lazy or weak or making it up. There are specific biological reasons why this happens, and I'll come back to that in a bit. Now, there's a part of this study that might sound a little scary, and I want to be honest with you about it so that you understand it properly and know that it's nothing to worry about. I wanted to get this video out quickly because the headline that's going to get shared everywhere, used as clickbait and taken out of context is going to sound terrifying, and that will not help your symptoms at all. This study found a link between fibromyalgia and the same gene that causes Huntington's disease. If you don't know what Huntington's disease is, let me explain that first. It's a serious long-term neurological condition, usually inherited, that causes nerve cells in the brain to break down slowly over time. There's currently no cure for it, although scientists are constantly actively searching for new treatments for it. And I know that this can sound worrying. It sounded worrying to me too at first. But let me explain the reality and why it's okay for us. Here's what the study actually found. The single strongest genetic change linked to fibromyalgia sits inside a gene called HTT. In Huntington's disease, a different kind of change in that same gene is what causes that illness. What the researchers found is that people with fibromyalgia have a change in that same gene, but it's not the same change or mutation that causes Huntington's. In us, it's just located in the same place. That is actually more evidence that fibromyalgia is a neurological condition, like Huntington's is. But, and this is really important, this does not mean you are going to get Huntington's disease. It doesn't mean fibromyalgia turns into it. It doesn't mean you are at risk of it. It just means both conditions might share some of the same biology. The good news is that there's also a second gene they found called GPR52, which is actually already being studied as a possible treatment for Huntington's disease. So the hopeful part is that because the same genes are already being researched for treatments, that research could end up helping us with fibromyalgia too down the line. Now let's talk about why, despite the genes being switched on, some people develop fibro and others don't, and it's not your fault. So you may be thinking, if this is genetic, does that mean it was always going to happen to me no matter what? No. The study found that genetics alone doesn't cause fibromyalgia. The researchers believe you need the genetic risk plus something else, some kind of trigger to actually switch that genetic change on. The example they gave was a painful arthritic condition is more likely to switch on that gene mutation. But from everything I've learned and taught over the years, that trigger can be lots of different things. It can be trauma, long periods of chronic stress, a serious injury, an accident, surgery, a major illness, or grief. Personally, I've always felt that the repetitive strain injury I had in my wrists years ago, decades ago, played a big part in triggering my fibro because I couldn't sleep at that time because the pain was there constantly. I can't say it for certain, and this study doesn't prove that specifically, but it fits the pattern of what they are describing. The genes mean you are more likely to develop fibromyalgia, but that switch doesn't flip on its own. Something else has to trigger it. And that means that the environment around you, the stress you're carrying, the trauma you've been through, the way you recover, that side of things is still where you have the most power to make a difference. Now I want to show you one more finding because I think it answers something you've probably asked yourself for years. Fibromyalgia is diagnosed in women about 3 times more often than men. Why? Here's what's interesting. When the researchers checked, they found no difference between men and women in the genetic risk itself. Men and women carry the same genetic risk for fibromyalgia. So why are so many more women actually diagnosed with it? It's likely down to other things like hormones, environment, or the way that pain and symptoms are recognized and taken seriously differently in women compared to men by doctors. The fact that men tend to visit doctors less often than women may also play a part. But this is changing, as I've seen on this channel, where almost half the people watching are men. So here's where this leaves us. There is still no cure for fibromyalgia. This study doesn't change that, but what it does show is that it is real, it's biological, it's neurological, and there's serious research now going into understanding it properly. I'd like to quote from that same article from Technology Networks, which I will link to below, by the way, and the research paper. From that article, Dr. Sinead Armstrong said, "Understanding how genes, environmental exposure, and life events jointly contribute to risk of fibromyalgia syndrome is critical. Further research into triggers of fibromyalgia and corresponding changes to neural tissues will help us determine what drives fibromyalgia and how to treat it." Fibromyalgia is not going away, but this and all other research being carried out at the moment should give us hope. And as Dr. Sinead Armstrong said, understanding the condition and its causes gives us clues on where we can focus as individuals that will help us live with the condition, the environment, the triggers and the life events. And that's exactly why I built the Fibro Wellbeing Method around what you can actually do and influence day to day, not around waiting for a cure that isn't here yet. I've put a link to the program and the resources from this video in the description below, so you can take a further look at that if you want support with that side of things, living well with fibro. Let me know what your biggest aha moment was from this video. What did you learn that helps you now? And if this is your first time on this channel and you want to see how I went from being bedridden to actually living well and thriving with fibromyalgia, go watch that story next. I'll link it on the screen here. And subscribe for more videos on how to live well with fibro. Until next time, take care of yourself and be well.